It happened on a Tuesday. The sun rose as it always did. People drank their coffee, they checked their phones, their screens, but something was wrong. The markets did not open. Not in New York, not in London, not in Tokyo. The digital pulse of global finance had stopped. A flat line where a vibrant rhythm once beat. Governments scrambled, bankers whispered in hushed, terrified tones. Was it a coordinated cyber attack? An act of digital warfare? No one knew. The systems were not crashed, not broken. They were simply paused. The world waited. The silence was deafening. Philip Pines was not a name known to many. He did not seek the spotlight. His story began in quiet obscurity, a small town, an ordinary childhood. But Pines was different. He saw the world in numbers, in patterns, in pure data.
While other children played with toys, I played with logic. I found solace in the elegant dance of code.
He taught himself programming languages before he was old enough to drive a car. His focus was intense, almost inhuman. He sought to understand the underlying mechanics, the hidden rules that governed complex systems, especially the volatile system of human economics. He did not follow the traditional path, university degrees in finance or economics. He believed human behavior, especially in markets, could be modeled, could be predicted, could perhaps even be controlled. He was a ghost in the machine of the old world, building something new in its shadows. Then came WhisperNet. It was not a product launched with fanfare. No press releases heralded its arrival. It slipped into the financial world quietly, a sophisticated algorithm, a predictive engine. Philip Pines' first major creation to see the light. Its purpose was simple yet revolutionary, to understand and anticipate market movements, with an accuracy that bordered on prescient. WhisperNet did not guess, it calculated. It ingested vast quantities of data. News articles, social media sentiment, economic indicators, historical trends, geopolitical shifts, even weather patterns. It processed this information at superhuman speed, identifying correlations humans could never see. It made buy and sell decisions, minute adjustments, millions of times a day, always ahead of the curve, always profitable. WhisperNet was more than a tool, it was the first step in a grand silent strategy. With the immense wealth generated by WhisperNet, Philip Pines began his next phase. It was not about personal enrichment. He lived modestly, almost ascetically. His goal was far larger, far more ambitious. He began to acquire, not just companies, but assets that were foundational, the bedrock of the global economy. He moved like a grandmaster on a worldwide chessboard, each move calculated, part of a larger design. He bought shares in shipping companies, the vessels that carried the world's goods. He invested in telecommunication networks, the cables and satellites that carried information. He acquired stakes in energy corporations, the power plants and pipelines fueling civilization. The acquisitions accelerated. Pines' algorithms identified undervalued assets, companies ripe for restructuring, nations struggling with debt. He did not discriminate by industry or geography. His criteria were purely strategic. What assets provided leverage? What resources were critical for the future? What entities held the keys to information flow? These questions guided his silent expansion. He bought into data centers, the physical homes of the digital world. He invested in pharmaceutical research, holding patents for life-saving drugs. He acquired mining operations, securing access to rare earth minerals. Each acquisition was a node in his network, strengthening his position, expanding his reach. The revelation came not with a bang, but a drip, a series of coordinated leaks from a source or sources still unknown. Cryptic data packets appeared on secure servers, messages sent to a handful of investigative journalists and influential financial analysts. At first, they seemed like disparate pieces of a puzzle. Financial records, offshore account details, complex ownership charts, internal memos. The sheer volume was overwhelming. Slowly, painstakingly, the pieces were assembled. A picture began to emerge, a terrifying, almost unbelievable picture. The data pointed to a single, shadowy nexus, a controlling interest in vast swaths of the global economy, from food production to energy distribution, from communication networks to advanced technology. In the midst of the global storm, Philip Pines did something unexpected. He agreed to an exclusive interview, not with a major news network, but with a small, independent online journal known for its deep, thoughtful analysis. The world watched, hungry for answers, for denials, for explanations, for anything. The interview was streamed live, unedited, raw. Pines appeared calm, almost serene. He was not the caricature of a villain, no maniacal laughter, no boasts of power. He spoke softly, precisely.
I do not deny the leaked information. Yes, my network of entities holds significant influence. Yes, my algorithms have guided these acquisitions.
He answered questions directly, laying out his actions with cold, clear logic. He explained his rationale.
The global systems are broken, inefficient, corrupt, prone to crisis, driven by short-term thinking and nationalistic squabbles.
The admission about China sent new shockwaves. How could a single individual hold sway over a nation of 1.4 billion people? A sovereign state? A global superpower? Pines elaborated, his voice even, devoid of emotion. It was not traditional ownership. He did not command its armies or write its laws directly. His control was economic, structural, subtle, yet profoundly powerful. Like the roots of a great tree, unseen, but essential. He detailed how his network had become indispensable to China's continued growth and stability. Key technologies underpinning its industries were licensed from his companies. Crucial supply chains for advanced manufacturing ran through logistics firms he influenced. Vast amounts of its foreign-held debt were ultimately traceable back to his entities. China needed access to global markets, to capital, and Pines' network was a primary gateway. The Chinese government remained silent for a time. A public denial would be humiliating if proven false. An admission, unthinkable. Internally, there must have been turmoil. The world reeled from Pines' revelations. Governments convened emergency sessions. Economists debated the end of traditional capitalism. Philosophers pondered the nature of power and freedom. Some called Philip Pines a monster, a digital dictator who had usurped global autonomy. Others, a small but growing minority, saw him differently. Perhaps as a visionary, a necessary evil, or even a savior in a world teetering on self-destruction. The old order was undeniably shattered. In his final message during the interview, Pines laid out his ultimate aim.
The systems humanity built are failing. They are reactive, not proactive. They create inequality, conflict, and environmental devastation.
He spoke of a future guided by data-driven decisions, optimizing resource allocation for the entire planet, eliminating poverty, averting climate catastrophe, a utopia perhaps, but one administered by an algorithm. The global response was fractured. There were calls for Pines' arrest, for the dismantling of his network.